I built this entire code app using GitHub Copilot and the Power Platform skills, as well as the Playwright MCP. And you can see we've got a desk booking app. If I log onto it, I've got the different plans available. So the North Wing, the East Wing, the Collaboration Hub, and also the Quiet Zone. If I want some quiet and I want to go book in a specific desk, I can click onto this, I can book. And you can see I can then cancel my booking, and I can see that this has now become a star and managed within Dataverse. If I go into the solution that it's built, you can see it's a collection of a code app, 2 Dataverse tables for desk and also desk booking, and a lot of custom columns all created using GitHub Copilot. Within GitHub Copilot, you can see we had a nice back and forth, but we basically got to this through a very simple prompt. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do the same if you aren't allowed to use tools like Codex or Claude Code, how you can do this all within GitHub Copilot and some of the pitfalls and benefits of doing it this way. So if you caught last week's video on Claude Code and you've come over here to learn a little bit about GitHub Copilot, this is a great sequel to what you've just seen. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Howden Rashid, Microsoft MVP and MCT, and founder at Power Academy. And in today's video, we are going to be going over GitHub Copilot to help you develop your Power Platform solutions. Now, the reason I made this video is because last week I released a version of this video which was targeted at Claude Code. But there are a lot of questions around governance and around businesses being very hesitant to use platforms like Claude and even ChatGPT within their organizations because they are so married to Microsoft. And obviously Microsoft have been in business for years. It is a more trusted software solution and company than the Anthropics and OpenAIs of the world, at least at this time of recording. So I believe because we are focusing on the Microsoft stack and we are working within the Microsoft stack, understanding how to utilize GitHub Copilot, especially the desktop app, which is what we're going to be focusing on in this video, is increasingly becoming more important. And in this video, we're going to show you a complete end-to-end demo, similar to what we did last week, but using one of the different skills so you can gain a bit of context. If you haven't checked out last week's video, even if you aren't looking to use Claude Code, I'd highly recommend taking a look at that nevertheless, just because I think it gives you a nice foundation into what we're going to be doing in today's video. So before we get into the demo and before I show you how to get GitHub Copilot set up on your machine to develop Power Platform solutions faster and in a more modern way, I want to go through some of the reasons on why we would use GitHub Copilot in the first place rather than other AI tools like Codex and Claude. And I always boil this down to 2 main reasons. So the first one is model choice. So different to something like Claude Code, which only uses the Claude models, with something like GitHub Copilot, you have access to the Claude models, the GPT models, and really any coding model that's available on the market, all available within that same tooling. With Claude Code, you are limited to the Anthropic models and what they give you, but here you have a lot more flexibility in what you can decide, and from an IT governance and admin perspective, they can switch on and off models that they're not comfortable using for the rest of the organization. So I've just opened up GitHub Copilot just to show you this in action. So you can see we've got the chat interface here, which you're familiar with, writing something in and then having something generated. It's something that we've been doing a lot of on this channel, and I'm sure you've experimented with. But what you can do is you can come to the model selection here, and if I scroll down, you can see you have a lot of models available which just aren't available within something like Claude Code. Things like Gemini, Codex as well. We've got more innovative models like Grok, and if we scroll down, we've even got Kimi, which is available too. We've got previous versions here, which are legacy versions, so if for whatever reason you want to use a lesser model, it is available here as well. Do bear in mind that Microsoft do make an effort to deprecate these models as they get older, but you can see you have a lot more model choice than you would if you were using something like Claude. You can see here across the top as well, we've got discounts on the models of GPT and also the MAI Code Flash models. So GitHub Copilot do make an effort to make these models a little bit more accessible when possible. We also have the auto area, which we can switch on and off, which gives you an overall 10% discount off all model costs. And it basically picks the best model for each task. And we're going to get into this a little bit more when we go into the power tips. So that's the first reason, which is model choice. Now, the second reason is something that we alluded to at the beginning, which is the overall governance and trust that Microsoft have within their tools. A lot of us watching this video and watching all of the videos on this channel, you've seen it's geared towards Microsoft, right? We are working within a company which is most likely adopting or looking to adopt Microsoft technology. And it's a much easier sell to utilize something like GitHub Copilot than it is Claude Code, at least through my experience. Again, which is why I think this video is increasingly more necessary, because as these tools become more innovative, and as developers and consultants, as we rely on these tools more and more, we need to be able to sell these tools easily to the companies that we're working with or working for. So I usually find myself defaulting to GitHub Copilot if I'm having to have a conversation of why we need to use Claude or why we need to use AI-focused development within the solutions that we're building. So those are the two main reasons for using GitHub Copilot over something like Claude Code. So now we're going to get onto the other side of things, which is two reasons why I don't think you should use GitHub Copilot. And if you run into these as issues, then maybe making an argument for something like Codex or Claude Code could be valuable for your organization. The first one is the cost. Now, this is a personal experience, and I'm not going to get into the mathematics or statistics of token licensing between the different platforms, because I think that's going to get complex and outdated very quickly. But something I can say is it increasingly feels more expensive to develop using GitHub Copilot than it does on something like Claude Code. For example, when I use one of the Opus models within Claude Code, it feels like I'm using a lot less tokens than I do with something like GitHub Copilot. Now, I'm not sure or clear on what the reasoning for that is. I can just say that through my experience of developing with both of these tools, it definitely feels a lot cheaper to develop on something like Claude Code or Codex. You, of course, have cheaper models, but I just don't find them as capable as the Opus models, hence why Microsoft are building on Claude technology as well and developing plugins for the Claude coding models that are available to you. Especially when we're talking about Power Platform development in particular, a lot of these skills are quite heavy in terms of what they need and the workload that is requested and demanded from them from the models. And I've always found using a lighter model can be very difficult in comparison to using something a little bit more powerful like Fable or the newer Opus models. The second reason to not use GitHub Copilot, and it's a bit less of a reason, but it's something to bear in mind, is I would say the tooling can be a little bit less innovative than something like Claude Code. And again, this is changing because Microsoft are realizing that they are a little bit behind in the AI race. So I do see a lot of the updates coming to tools like GitHub Copilot. But I do see platforms like Claude Code and also Codex to be a lot more innovative with the features and with the overall quality of life when it comes to the experience. Now, I'm sure this is for a wide variety of reasons. I don't work in Microsoft. I'm not sure what's going on within the company, but I can say that Microsoft is a huge company. It's something we all know, so they have to move a little bit slower than the smaller companies like the Anthropics or OpenAIs of the world. It's a little bit strange calling billion-dollar companies smaller, but Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company, so you can see the difference of levels in terms of how long they've been in the game and the level of clientele that they have as well. So again, it kind of brings me back to my point where the Microsoft tools are innovative. GitHub Copilot does have some really cool features that Claude Code doesn't. And usually when Claude Code releases something, GitHub Copilot has it the following week or at least within that month. But it is something to bear in mind, at least from what I've seen from personal experience. But that's more of a personal opinion that I have. You might find something like GitHub Copilot to be a lot more innovative and, more power to you. But that's just something that I found. All right, so now I've broken down some of the reasoning of why you might use GitHub Copilot or why you might avoid it. Let's get into a demo of actually using the technology because I think it's quite cool. I think it works well, and I think it is a good substitute to something like Claude Code if you can't use it within your business. So just as a bit of a guide, and if you have watched last week's video, you'll be very familiar with this page. It is the Power Platform skills. It is the ability to create Power Platform solutions directly from tools like Claude Code and GitHub Copilot. We've gone through this in the last video, so I'm not going to go over it too much here. But what I want to focus on is this Code Apps plugin that we didn't see in action last week. Last week, we went through Model Apps, we went through Canvas Apps, and we went through Power Automate. But this week, we're going to build a Code app using GitHub Copilot. And if I click onto this one, I believe, has quite a few skills available. Yes, it does. We have create code app, list connections, add data source, add Dataverse, SharePoint, Azure DevOps, a bunch of skills available to us to build our code app end to end using these tools. So let's get right into it. But I thought I'd just show you exactly what we're using and where you can install it. You can go to this URL. I will look to put this in the description for you as well. But what you can do is just type in on Google Power Platform Skills GitHub, and this will pop up for you. So you get the installation guide and all of that good stuff. Hey, it's Howden from the future. I just wanted to say, if you're enjoying the video, please leave a like. And I wanted to speak to you a little bit about Power Academy for Businesses, where we help businesses adopt these types of solutions and ways of working in a modern way when it comes to Power Platform development. Now, a lot of businesses want to start their adoption journey with Power Platform or Copilot Studio or any sort of Microsoft AI technology, but they really struggle with kind of getting their foot in, getting the buy-in from leadership, or developing their first initial solutions. And that's exactly what we help with at Power Academy. We have 3 doors available, from workshops to technical advisory to full implementation projects, where we can help you build something end to end and deliver the business value within the company within a specific deadline that we set together. And if we don't hit that deadline, then you don't pay us. So we have a full guarantee available. So if you decide to work with us, you will get the business outcome that we've promised you. If you're interested at all, link will be at the top of the description for you to book a call with me and someone from my team, and it would be absolutely amazing to meet your acquaintance and have a quick conversation. So if you're at all interested, click the link in the description and we can have a chat. If not, then enjoy the video. So let's get started within the GitHub Copilot desktop app. So in my opinion, this is the most user-friendly way to develop solutions within the Power Platform and while using GitHub Copilot. You can see you have a very native experience here. You've got a home section, my work, automations, you've got your sessions and folders here across the left. And I've just found it a lot more easy to develop within the GitHub Copilot desktop app. So to follow along with this, or if you want to kind of adopt this process, then what I'd recommend is installing the GitHub Copilot desktop application. Once you have this, the first thing we're going to do is create a new folder to store this code app. So what we're going to do is come into new here across the top, and we're going to go into local folder or repository. Then within here, what we're going to do is create a new folder. We're going to go into new folder, and then we're just going to call this code apps, YouTube demo, enter, select folder, and now we have our experience directly within the folder. So I'd recommend per project, you create a folder locally within your machine, and then you can do all your development within there. Any sort of handover files or markdown files that are created will be saved directly in the folder, so you have everything organized. The next thing we want to do is make sure that we have the Power Platform skill for Code Apps installed. And the way that we do that, and honestly, this is a lot better than something like Claude Code, because I feel like everything is native the way that you see the plugins. And we'll come into settings here. We'll come into plugins here on the left-hand side, and you can see we've got the Power Platform skills already installed. Over here, we can also install individual plugins and add the marketplace, which is what you're going to do to install the Power Platform skills in the first place. And if we go back into the Power Platform skills repo, scroll down, we'll be able to see the quick install guide all available to us here, as well as the marketplace that we need, which is Microsoft/Power Platform skills. Once we've got that in, we'll open this up and it'll load the catalog of the skills that are available, and we just want to make sure that Code Apps is available. In this case, it's not, so what we're going to do is install, and you can see we've got Code Apps Preview available here. We're just going to update the plugin to make sure it is totally up to date, and it is. And once I've got this installed, I am all good to cross this out and go into my chat and start developing my solution. So similar to what we did last week, what I like to do first before doing any development within the interface of GitHub Copilot is create the solution within my particular environment. So I'm in YouTube development here in the top right. I'm going to go to solutions. I'm going to go to new solution here in the top once it loads. And I'm going to call this desk bookings. Going to select the publishers, Power Academy, and then I'm going to create. And as we created a folder on our local machine, this is effectively creating the folder that we're doing our development in within the cloud or within the Power Apps Maker portal. So this is a really good way to kind of collate everything and organize everything, especially if you're looking to deploy this. Once we've got the solution built, there is nothing stopping us from just coming into here and typing our prompt. You can see here I've written my prompt and it says, I want to build a Power App code app for booking desks in our office. It should show an interactive floor plan of the office where people can see which desks are available and book with one click. Use Dataverse as a Dataverse with a maximum of 2 tables. Set up the project and tell me what you're going to build before you start. What we've got here, and we spoke about this last week, is targeting the correct environment and account to develop this solution in. So we've got use the account held in at poweracademy.com in the YouTube development environment and develop within the desk booking solution. So it's not guessing in terms of where to build, and we've explicitly said what account it should use. Then what we want to do in this case is we want to shift the mode from interactive to autopilot in our case, because we just want this to happen end to end. If you want step-by-step collaboration or a plan, which a plan would make sense here first technically, we could select that. But in the interest of time in the demo, we're just going to select autopilot. Then instead of auto, what I want to do, because it is the initial phase, is I'm going to use Claude Opus 5. I'm going to keep the reasoning on medium to not completely deflate all of my tokens. And I'm going to keep the context window to 1 million just so we can ensure that everything can be done within this chat. Something that's also unique to GitHub Copilot, which I really like, is these agents available to you. So you've got different specialties like Canvas App Planner, Canvas Screen Builder, Code App Architect, which basically instills the agent with a certain amount of context to develop the solution in alignment to what you want to do. So for example, a Code App Architect will architect the solution better than a default agent will. It will be instilled with context, more so than any of these agents available. For the purposes of the demo, we are just going to use the default agent, but something to be made aware of in terms of the agents that are available to you. So once we've got the prompt available, what we're going to do is just press send, and we're going to get this to start working. And as you can see, we have a very native experience, very similar to something like Claude Code. It loads the skill, it thinks, it checks for prerequisites, and we're going to see what it produces for us on the other side. It's gone through the requirements, it's going to use the pack CLI to find the environment we need, and it's going to ask me any questions through the process. You can see really nicely it's given us a breakdown of what it's going to build, the app name, the two tables it's going to use, so desk and desk booking, the UI as well, and you can see it's just resolving through all of the different areas that it needs to begin development. You can see what's really nice about this is because I've got all of the prerequisites created, it is now going in and resolving that I don't have the Dataverse tables needed to create this particular solution. So it's going in, it's creating the Dataverse tables for me, it's probably going to add them to the solution as well, and we're finishing that loop of Power Platform development and getting to a proof of concept much sooner. You can see it's even resolved the prefixes Power Academy, which is why building within the solution, even with AI, is just such a good best practice that you can adopt. Whether you're working with AI or not working with AI, always building solutions. While this is working in the background, I'd really like to show you some of the features available directly within the chat here. So very similar to Claude Code, or the exact same, I should say, the first thing you can do is you can do a / and get a list of all of your commands. If we type in code app, you can see we get a list of the code app commands here available. We've even got code app's preview report issue, which is nice. So if you run into any issue, then you can report a bug and Microsoft can go in and actually fix it. But this is just a nice shorthand to go in and write the specific commands. And you can also have custom commands available. If I go into the settings and I go into skills, or actually plugins even, you can see I've created my own set of Power Academy skills, one called PCF Builder, Doctor, Canvas Planner, and Flow Builder, which are all aligned to my best practices and I use on a regular basis. So for example, we've got Flow Builder here, and within this plugin, I've got my own subset of skills. So for example, if I come back, I can type in / build flow spec, and this creates me a flow specification rather than just building the Power Automate flow verbatim. So this is a way that you can bring in your own custom plugins and utilize them within the flow of work, which is really nice. If you're interested in a video on how to develop your own custom plugins, please just let me know and I'll be more than happy to make that for you. But this is a really nice way to kind of evolve the way that you work with AI to align with your ways of working. We've also got your capacity here available where you can view your usage and plan. You can see in this case, I've already got 16% used, and I haven't used GitHub Copilot much, if at all, on this account this month, so you can see just how much of the capacity that this can drain. Please do bear in mind I am on the most basic plan there is, but it's not cheap. It's about £30 a month, which is I think about $40, give or take. So you can see it really does burn through the usage if you use some of the Claude models, which we are using. We've gone over these buttons as well. You can also add particular files if we go back, and then we can also specify particular sessions as well. So that is the chat interface broken down for you. If we come into the settings, you have MCP servers that you can select. You've got plugins, as we went through, model providers, which are available to you, and you can configure different providers with your own API keys. You've got a level of skills, which are all available to you as well. So here is where you can see the particular skills available through your plugins. So if we go into plugins here, we can see all of the skills that are associated to those plugins. So this is just a really nice way to go and kind of manage the way that you are developing solutions and what the AI can reference through the building sessions. You can see it's using the Playwright MCP as well. So this is a really nice example of it utilizing different MCPs available within your system to come to one good solution. You can see it couldn't authenticate in this case, so it's just going to go ahead and try and resolve it by itself since we are using autopilot. If we were using something like an interactive state, it would probably pause and give us some options of how it should proceed. But because we are on autopilot, it's just going to go and resolve itself. It's saying the data layer is fully verified. So if we open up our environment, you can see it's created one table called desk. And if I give this a hard refresh, Hopefully we should see the other table if it's created it. And you can see in this case it has. We now have desk and also desk booking. And if we open up the columns, we should see all of the columns that were created as well, like desk type, which is a choice. We've got notes available, and we've even got the X and Y positions here too. So you can see it's fully resolved to build us those Dataverse tables, and it's now working on finishing the code app. This is really why I love Playwright, and you can see it's taken a screenshot of the code app here, and you can see it's noticed these black boxes across the tables as well. So if I go here, you can see it says the rendering is close, though it needs 3 fixes. It says the desk type glyph renders as giant tofu boxes, and zone labels collide with the free count. So it sees the issues and it's going in and resolving this by itself, which again is why I highly recommend installing the Playwright MCP when you are developing solutions with GitHub Copilot or Claude Code. So it is now finished the solution. It says desk booking is live. It's given us the app name, the environment, the solution it's in, and also the URL directly to the application. If we open up the Dataverse solution and go into one of the tables, for example, desk, you can see it's also implemented test data. We can't see the additional columns. So what I'm going to do is just go in and select all and see what it's added for us. You can see it's given us specific desk code, so we can go in and test the code app for ourselves. If we give this a hard refresh using a Control, Shift, and R, we should be able to see the application available within the solution. And yep, we can see it pop up here as an app. And we can go into here, select the 3 ellipses, and then what we can do is play. And now straight away, we can see the app that it's developed for us. Now, don't get me wrong, as with a lot of these solutions, they are not perfect on the first try, but you can see it's given us a really nice calendar selector. It's given us the different zones that are available and all of the coordinates within that specific area, the quiet zone as well. It's given us an all zone area available, the floor plan all here. We can select these available desks here. We can book just like that. And you can see we have now starred this area. And if we move on to another date, you can see that that resets. So it's got that core functionality available, and the 28 desks in comparison to the day before where there's only 27 have been updated using the app. Now again, we do have a simple use case here, but it just goes to show the power of an initial prompt, how far it's gotten with our Dataverse schema, adding data, and then giving us this very generic proof of concept code app. Now this would have taken probably at least a day for a developer to do, maybe even longer. And you can see we've literally got that done in a matter of minutes. So a lot of the principles that you take from this video are very similar to what we did in the last video, but this takes it through the GitHub Copilot lens and some of the caveats of using GitHub Copilot. What we can then do with the solution is we can go in, we can add Power Automate flows because code apps can now call Power Automate flows, which is awesome. We can add more data sources, and we can make the application better using a combination of the Playwright MCP and the Power Platform skills that I just demonstrated to you. So really exciting times for this technology. I hope this kind of closes the loop, at least in terms of the foundations of AI-driven Power Platform development. And I hope you're as excited for this technology as I am, because up until a little while ago, I feel like there was a lot of confusion around the Power Platform space. You know, how are we going to develop solutions? We had all of this cool AI technology, but it felt very separated from the platform. Whereas now it feels like we have this middle ground to use the power of AI tools and develop real solutions for our clients and customers as needed. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do leave a like. It really does help the channel out. And yeah, we've got a bunch of free stuff available on Power Academy. So what are you doing if you're not signed up? Go to poweracademy.com, make an account. We've got a bunch of free courses and a lot of stuff available on the channel. So yeah, thank you very much for staying tuned for this video. And I will catch you in the next one. Take it easy.